Definitely, Manik. So I'm actually pretty happy seeing such a diverse audience here, especially the international students. And so before beginning the resume session, I would definitely want to know which year of college you guys are in, whether you are in first year, second year, final year of colleges, or you are like a fresher looking for job switches or job opportunities. Okay, I see a lot of second and third year students. Okay, there are first year students as well. That's great to know. Okay. Yeah, others also please feel free to drop in the chat. I want the session to be interactive.
Yeah,
So I see like majority are second and third year, and some of them are first year students. So for second year students, I think it's about the time when you will be applying for on campus or off campus internship opportunities, right? Similarly, for third year students, when they will be start looking for their full time opportunities. So, just to give a gist of what this session will be all about is I will discuss mostly how the resume should look like, how you can structure your resume, and that's completely valid for both the internship and placement opportunities. At the same time, it's valid for on campus and off campus opportunities as well, because I'm aware that most of the students here are will be sitting for their on campus opportunities as well, and as the time come you will also have to prepare the on campus resume. So the content here will focus on all those areas, and definitely during the session or after the session, if you have any queries, right, like feel free to drop in the chat, or you are also free to unmute yourself in case you want to ask the question directly. So that is completely all right. Okay. So uh, uh, like uh, so do you guys like use any platform today for making your resume? So I when I was in my first and second year, I know it was very difficult to find any proper platform for resumes. Yeah, okay, I see a lot of you use Overleaf today. Okay, Canva is there. Okay. That's great to know that you guys are using so many things. And from my personal experience, I truly feel that Overleaf is one of the most flexible platform if you are like able to learn how to use it. Okay, resume.io. Yeah, that's also good to know. So I think we are also about time. And Manik, if we are good, like we can actually start the session also, right?
yeah,
Um
we can.
Great. Hello everyone. I'm Radhika Patwari. I graduated from IIT Kharagpur in the year 2022 from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And for the past 2.5 years, I am a software engineer at Uber Bangalore office. And I have been part of multiple hackathons, multiple off-campus internships as well. So one of my best internship experience was at Google and Instabase, and I truly understand how difficult it is to make your resume suitable for the hackathon purpose or for the internship job description, right? So from my own experience, I will be taking this workshop. So let me first share my screen. So I hope my slides are visible to you all. In case they are not, just let me know. So just give me a thumbs up if you are able to see the slides properly. Great, that's great to know. So let me do a slideshow as well. So as like I already asked in the chat, I see most of you are already using Overleaf platform. So from my personal experience, I would suggest Overleaf because the you also get a flexibility to save your resume there, to alter the latest structure. I understand that the latex coding that is present in overleaf, if you open a overleaf document, you will find it very difficult or complex to understand at first. But I have one resume template that I can share with Manik, and he can share with you all, like in any community group that you have. So I think that will be really helpful if you start using overleaf right from now and get adapted to it. Okay. So like one of the like the best professional resumes that I have seen in my career are all like made from overleaf. And hence to all the people who are also using Canva and resume.io, I will definitely suggest try give overleaf a try, and you might even like it more than Canva or resume.io, and you will realize that it's like more flexible and kind of more professional in terms of resume templates. Okay. So this is like one of the template resume that I have displayed here. So I hope the font and everything is clear to you all. It is like just a template one. That's what I was talking about. Like I can also share this the latest template of this with Manik. So if you see this resume, right, like what all things come to your mind, like as a recruiter, right, when you are building a resume, the first thing that you have to think of, that who is the person that will be, or he or she who will be reading your resume, right? It will mostly be the recruiters, right? They will not be any uh, software engineers, or if you are in the product management domain, there won't be any product managers or software engineers who will be reading your resumes, or any consultants. The people who will be reading your resume will be recruiters, right? And they may or may not even understand the technical terms that you have written here, and because of that they use various kind of softwares to understand your resume, to shortlist your resume, right? So as a recruiter, right, as a recruiter who is like trying to shortlist among 4,000, 5,000 candidates, what all things I would be looking at, right? So first of all, what all questions come in the mind of the recruiter? So first they will see, like, is the resume well structured, right? Whether it is readable or not, right? First of thing. So if you see this resume, it is so well organized. Like you can see all the academic first, the name is written in a larger font as compared to the rest of the resume, to focus on the student's name, right? Then the year they are in, like the third year undergraduate, then the department is there, then email ID, phone number. So all these things are very important, right? You have to, so you can see the email is written particularly in bold, and then the email is there. So all these things make the resume well structured, and it draws the attention of the recruiters to very important things like the your email and the phone number, right? Because those are the only way to contact any candidate for the role or for the interview. Now you see there are other things as well, so academic qualifications, achievements, projects. So we will dive into each of the component of the resume in details, but I just wanted to focus on what all things will be coming to your mind. So first point is like that the resume should be well structured, right? It should be properly organized. Then does the candidate have the required educational background, right? So if you see, the first component in your resume is the academic qualifications. So as seen, like most of your students are like in the first or the second years, right? So education, like your college background, is the most important factor here. So once you are 3 4 years of once you have 3 4 years of experience, then you can even like ignore the education section in your resume. But being a college student, it plays a very important role. So usually that is why the first section in your resume is the education background. Now what other things can come to your mind, like is the candidate having any additional trainings or certifications, right, that can add value to his profile. Then whether the candidate has any technical skills or expertise, right? So since I'm a software engineer, you will find a lot of technical word written in the entire slide, but the resume discussion that I'm doing is quite general. And even if you are like thinking of going for design roles, or just front end roles, or product management, or finance or consultancy, these tips will be helpful for you even in those fields. Okay. So the other things can be like what? So the candidate perform the job core duties, create an impact, right? Whether the candidate is able to handle teamwork, leadership, is the candidate passionate about his field? So do you guys have any idea like how can you show that? Suppose you want to apply for a software engineer role, how will your resume show that you are actually passionate about software engineering? Any ideas like how will your resume show this factor?
Participating in hackathons.
Right, participating in hackathons as projects, right, internships. Then other things can be open source opportunities, right? So there are currently internship opportunities like Outreachy or LFX, right? I won't go into the details of those, but I just wanted to mention the names. Like those are very important open source organizations, like even Google's Summer of Code, right? All those are very well known open source programs which allow second and third year college graduates to like uh, learn and apply their skills to open source projects. So you understand, right? When you submit your resume to the recruiter, you are basically your resume is like your identity over there, right? You are not physically present there to tell the recruiter that you have these qualities. So you have to ensure that whatever you want to tell the recruiter, you are telling everything via your resume. And your resume should actually show that yes, you are passionate about the field that you have applied for. You have all the you have participated in hackathons, you are eager to learn, right? You have taken some freelancing opportunities, you have also done internships. So all these things basically show that yes, you are passionate about the field, you are eager to learn. Okay, you are curious about how the various technologies work. And last but not the least, your resume, whether your resume has the relevant words, okay, the relevant keywords for the role or not. So you will understand why this 8 point is so important as we go along in the slides. So first of all, I want to like go from the very basics of how the resume structure should look like. Okay. So the first thing that we also saw in the last resume was a proper headline, right? Then there were other things like education, then work experience, internship experiences, the competitions that you have taken part in, any conferences, any projects that you have worked on, then your skills. So these are like some of the topics that can be part of your resume. I'll discuss in details like what can or what fields are optional for you as well. This is just an idea of what all things can be in your resume, and this is the way to actually go about writing in your resume as well. So you can also write about the awards, achievements. So especially for college grads, I have seen this problem that they don't have enough content to fill in their resumes. So in those kind of situations, you can also go about writing your coursework information, right? So I understand that many of you must have already done courses like data structures and algorithms. Okay, some of you who are not in computer science field might have done some DSA course from some online courses like Udemy or Coursera. So those courses or those kind of certifications are also very important to showcase that you are interested in learning about programming, right? So you can also add those informations in your resume. And then the other fields can be like positions of responsibility, leadership roles, right? And then some extracurricular activities. So I'll dive into details for each of the 10 topics that I have mentioned here. But I would just like to highlight that these are mostly the 10 topics around which your entire resume evolves. Okay. So first, talking about your headline, right? So this is like just an example that I have also portrayed here. This is from one of my past resumes. So you can see like I have written my name of properly here in bold, and it has a bigger font as compared to the rest of the resume. So why I'm focusing on my name so much is I have seen, so I have interviewed like more than 50 plus students as of now for Uber, and also like taken some mock interviews for the students. So I have seen this problem that some of the students make some spelling mistakes in their names itself in the resume. Okay. So like you might find it funny right now, but this kind of things do happen. So you can see in the picture that I have attached, like my name is clearly written, and I haven't chosen like very fancy font over here, right? It's like a simple font, and the things are clearly visible. Then the other important thing is your phone number, right? You can see, so I have um, uh, put a like a blank over here, but mostly you will have your country code and then the phone number. So for the international students who are here, so you can also put your country code there. Okay. Then the email ID. So you should always ensure that it's like an active email ID. The other two important things are the LinkedIn profile and the GitHub profile. So you can see mine. So I have put like linkedin.com, then Radhika Patwari. But this is not my actual LinkedIn ID. Okay. I have just used this name, and in my overleaf in the latex, I have hyperlinked this to my LinkedIn profile. So this looks better. So my LinkedIn profile is like Radhika, then 1522 ID, something like that. So that is not like a good thing to write in your resume. You should mention like your name and then hyperlink it to the LinkedIn profile. Okay. So for first year students, I hope you have created your LinkedIn profile. In case you have not, I would suggest you to create your LinkedIn profile today itself. Okay. Then the other important thing is your GitHub link. So have you guys like used GitHub? I see some questions in the chat. I'll like feel free to drop in the questions. I'll look all over the questions at the end of the presentation. So, like, are you guys familiar with GitHub? Okay, great one. Shikha. That's great to hear that you are an open source contributor. Uh, that's great, Renu. So, I understand. So even if you don't have a GitHub account, like try creating one and link it to your resume. Okay, and with time you can keep contributing and adding your projects over there. But even when you are creating your GitHub account, right? Like if you see here, it's like github.com, then Radhika Patwari. So Radhika Patwari is not my GitHub handle, first of all, but I have used this name to make it like more readable and understandable, and then I have hyperlinked it to my actual GitHub account. Okay. So these are very small things which play an important role, especially when you want to create an impact in front of the recruiter, or you want to show your resume to someone, right? So then comes the education section. So I think in this example I have taken Bachelor of Technology, but I understand that many of you might be from different degree, might be holding some different degrees as well, like the BC or BSc. So feel free to add that here. So you can see how I have written is first you, so I have kept a blank here, but you can fill your college name there. For write the full name. Okay, don't like if it is triple IIT or something, like don't just mention triple IIT, write the full form of that triple IIT. Okay, it doesn't look good to use so many acronyms in terms of college names and all in your resume. Okay. Then even for your degree, okay, it's a good practice to always mention the complete course in your resume. So for, if you are from btech from electrical engineering department, you should mention properly that bachelor of technology in electrical engineering. Okay. Similarly, for BCA students also, you can mention properly like bachelors of computer applications, or if you have some honors as well, you can also mention that in the bracket. Now, the other important thing to notice is the year, start and the end year. So, on the, I'm not sure if my arrow is visible in the slideshow, but is it visible to you guys? Okay, great. So, you can see first I have mentioned July 2018, okay, which is the start year. And then since so this I have taken the template specifically from my second and third year resume. So you can see I have mentioned like expected May 2022. Okay, this is very important. So for the first, second, third year students, it is very much obvious that when you are applying for any role, you haven't graduated by then, right? So you should mention expected, then an approximate month and the year of graduation. So this is also very important. Okay, then you can also mention the CGPA, or in your college if there's something called SGPA or the percentage, feel free to mention that. But the important thing is you should mention like if it is so I have seen some colleges also using this maximum CGPA as 5, for especially for the international universities. So do mention that whatever CGPA you have got, out of 10 or out of 5 as well. Okay, if it is a percentage, do mention the percentage sign as well. Now, I have shown the example of a college degree, but you can also mention your 12th or 10th board exam percentage as well. Okay, especially for first, second year of students, do mention the 12th exam percentage and 10th exam percentage in case you have space in your resume left. Now, coming to the most important section of your resume, okay, the work experience. So, the work experience doesn't just talks about a full-time job. It can be some contract-based job that you are doing. It can be internships as well. So I have again given some example of part-time internships like outreach LFX, and at the same time there can be something like some research internship that you are doing, right? Research internships can be under professors, and it can be as part of universities themselves. Okay, so just to give a highlight here, there are a lot of foreign universities that provide research internships. So do check them out. In case you are interested in researching in computer science field, or focusing on artificial intelligence, or reinforcement learning, machine learning, so you can all find those details in Google itself. But yeah, this is like also a very interesting opportunity for you to learn. So again, your open source contributions, right, the freelancing work that you are doing, so all these kind of work that you are doing, they can become a part of your work experience. Okay, now another important thing to ensure is that the timeline of each of the experience that you are adding, right? So if the project is still going on, you should put present in that. Okay, so I'll even in the last resume that we discussed, right? This one. So you can see some of the key projects here. So you can see that this short term traffic prediction using DTC, then it is mentioned as March 17, and then it is mentioned as ongoing, right? Ongoing indicates that you are still working on this project when you have submitted your resume. Now, if you see the third project, right, the development intern RT internship, then you see that it's like May 17 to July 17, indicating that this project was completed within this timeline. And here the start and end months both are included. Okay, so you can mention ongoing, or you can mention present as well, both are completely fine. So coming back to this, I see that most of the students here are first and second year. So just to give a gist here, you can definitely skip this section if you want, because I understand that first year students might not have exposure to any internships or open source events as of now. So feel free to skip this section totally as well. Now talking about competition and conferences, okay, so most of you must be thinking that there are a lot of college events that you are taking part, right? Some intra college events, like some coding competitions. So in those cases, where to fit those competitions in your resume, whether you can write those competitions in your resume or not, right? But let me tell you, you can definitely write all those events in your resume, and the best section under which you can mention these is the competition or the conference section. So the conference part is optional here, you can just mention it as competition as well. Okay, now even your hackathons that you have participated, whether they are online or in person, feel free to mention them here as well. So you can see an example that I have added. So basically there are two different examples. So in the first example you can see three different events being mentioned. Okay, so one of the first event talks about an international competition. So you can see how I have mentioned them using three bullet points, right? So first I mentioned on what my achievement was in that competition. So I secured the first position in the qualification round, and then in the runner up position in the final event. So this is just an example, but this is how you should mention. Okay, so if you have secured some important position in that competition, be it like if you were among the top 20 members, or you were among the top 50 candidates, you should definitely mention that in your resume. And you should also focus on the rank that you have got, and you should mark it with bold. So you can see this example. So I think I will be sharing the slides as well later, like after the session. So you can definitely take these examples and use them in your own resumes as well, to learn and how to write all these points. Then after talking about my position in that competition, I focused on what I actually worked on. Okay, so you can see I worked on a differential drive bot, and what was the feature that I developed, that it was capable of following lanes, avoiding obstacles, and then reaching a set of GPS target. So after talking about my qualification, I talked about what work I did. Okay, now since I have already talked about that, I then talk about what was I again worked on, like responsible for tuning and all those things. So in this case, I didn't have any quantifiable impact kind of. So I didn't mention that. We will come to that by the end of the slides, like how you can quantify your achievement in the resume themselves. But in this case, I just talked about the work that I did. Then there was another event, so that was also something like an image processing event. And there also, since I didn't win or had any recognizable position in that event, I didn't even talked about that, right? So you don't have to say that you were not able to secure any position and all those things. You can just skip that part, and you can just focus on what work you did and what you learned from that event. Okay, so other thing to notice that, like I have used a lot of keywords here, right? Like built an image processing robot, programmed an algorithm using huff transform. So all these are very important keywords that highlight your work in your resumes. Okay, then there's this Flipkart Grid 2.0. It's like a hackathon. Okay, so if you are participating in your hackathon, just give the name of the hackathon. You can also mention like Flipkart Grid 2.0 hackathon, or just keep it like this also. Then since I secured a position in the top 20 teams, I mentioned that here in my first line. And then I also mentioned on the problem statement that I worked on. And then in the second line, I mentioned about what work I did, and I also focused on the impact. So You can see the line. So designed a low cost, okay, industrial level autonomous intelligent picking robot. So here low cost itself is an impact. Okay. So the third point that I mentioned about Flipkart Grid 2.0, so you can see that I have also added an alternative of how you can mention that. So you can also skip the first line about the participation and all and just focus on the impact that you have created. Now another thing to notice is that I have written Flipkart Grid 2.0 semi-finalist, and then I have added the things that I learned in that hackathon. Okay, so I coded in C++, so I have mentioned C++, then OpenCV, then deep learning algorithms. So this is another way of writing where you can put a bar and mention the things that you learned in your hackathon or the whatever event it was in. Okay. Now coming to projects. So projects can be your course projects, your self projects also that you are doing out of interest. Then there can be hackathon projects, right, where you didn't win anything, so you don't want to put them in the competition, you just want to put them in the projects section. So all those kind of projects come under this section. One thing to notice is, suppose you don't have enough content for any section. Okay, for example, the competition section, you don't have like three or two or three competitions here to mention. You can combine multiple sections together. Okay, so for example, you can if you have one internship and one project, you can combine both of them together under a title called internships and projects. Okay, now just see the two examples I have mentioned. So these are the examples related to projects done under some professors. Okay, so if you guys get an opportunity to like do some project under the professor of your college or some other college within India or outside India, do opt for it, because those are also add like a lot of value to your resume. Okay, and this is the way how you can mention it. So suppose an example of a course term project. Okay, as part of your curriculum, you have done some good project and you want to mention it in your resume, then this is the way you can do it. So you can mention like under the guidance of professor this, department of this, and college also, right? Then again, I have added two more points about the project. And you can see like designed a software using Python Flask and all, and then predicted most relevant papers. So you can see like how I have highlighted some of the bold keywords, right, to like draw the attention of the recruiter or draw the attention of the even the softwares. Okay, they understand like these keywords properly. So this is very important to do. Then again, another project which was like a group project. Okay, so the first project was like an individual project, but suppose they have been some courses, right, where you do some kind of a group project with other students. So in those kind of things you can also mention them. So you can also mention that you were part of this course group project under the guidance of some professor, and then again talk about the things that you or your teammates have done in that project. Now, an important thing to note about a group project is that it might be possible that you have worked on a very small component of that project. Okay, but when you are talking about the project in your resume, you can add about the entire all the components of the project, but be assured or be thorough with all the details. Okay, you so I'll also talk about that in the last slides, but in the interview it is very important that you are thorough with your resume. And even if you haven't worked on other components of that group project, you should ask the other teammate like how they have done it, how they have achieved this, right, how they debugged this, on how they coded it, how they thought about it, right, how they implemented it. So these kind of questions, this curiosity should come to your mind, like no matter whichever field you are working on. Even like if you're doing some case study as part of like finance role or anything, then also case studies are mostly like group projects. So you should talk with your teammate like how they were able to research about this, how they were able to reach this conclusion, right? So you should be aware of all the components of the project that you are writing in your resume, no matter whether it was an individual project or a group project. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed one pattern here. So, just coming back to my competition slide, so you can see like notice one thing that I have written about three competitions. Okay, in all the three competitions, the starting words, right? They are different in all of them. So, I haven't repeated any of the words. I hope you have noticed this. So you can see like none of the words are repeated in all the three competitions, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is actually intentional. Okay, it is not like by coincidence this happened. This was completely intentional, and this is actually a good way. So no one like redundancy, right? Like for example, like if I'm writing here uh, I wrote like inter college events, intra college events, so it's kind of redundant. Like I even didn't like this slide a lot. I just mentioned it for simplicity of all my audience, but no one likes the redundancy, right? So if you are now reading my 3 points, it looks very good, like it looks very appealing to you, like in all the points I have done something great, I have done something so interesting, and all those kind of things might be coming to your mind. But it is not like that. Okay, these things were very simple, but the way I have written those is actually what is astonishing you. Okay, so none of the words are repeated. Similarly, if you go to my this slide as well, so you can see I wrote about two course projects. So and you can see like none of the words are again repeated. Okay, so I have used words like designed a software, predicted, then determined best 10 reviews. So the meaning of determined and predicted is kind of like interchangeable only, but I have used them differently here. Then I talked about trained and LSTM model. So nowadays you have like all chat gpt, and there are a lot of online resources available, so you can use those resources to actually use this skill and use different words, good words in your resume. Okay, so this is very important. Like this is again a very small thing, but when you read someone else's resume, you realize that these things are very important. Okay, so I think we don't have much time, so I'll quickly go over the other things that I have to discuss. So again, you can also talk about the skills and your expertise set. Okay, and there are different ways of dividing your skill set. So in this example, you can see that I have mentioned languages. So these were the languages that yeah, that I might know, or you might know some of them, and you can use these. So even if you know like you have used some language as part of your course project, you can mention that here, but be thorough with all the basics of that language. Okay, then I have talked about libraries, tools, and frameworks. Okay, so like github. Okay, github is a version control tool. So it's like a tool, it's not a language. Okay, so you have to be very careful, don't just go about mentioning it in the language. So you have to mention it under libraries, tools, and frameworks kind of a description. Then you can mention other frameworks like Django, or Flask can also be mentioned. So Flask is also like an engine, so you can mention it under this. Now the other way to divide your skills can be dividing on the basis of knowledge. Okay, that you are very proficient in these languages. Then there's something called familiar, indicating that you are just familiar with that language. Okay, but you don't know the core of that language a lot, but just familiar with the basics. But I often like the one that I have shown in the screen, the languages and the libraries, tools, frameworks section, because it makes the resume look better. Now coming to the another important section regarding the awards and achievements. Okay, so I have also been part of lot of scholarships and coding challenges and all. So I often like found it very difficult, like how should I arrange those in my resume. And that is why I have specifically put this slide to focus on your scholarships, your competitive programming ratings. Okay, I know many of you must have started with Lead Code, or Code Forces, or Code Chef, or Interview Bit, whatever platform you are comfortable with. But do mention those ratings, okay? If you are taking part in some coding competition and you have secured some good rank, do mention those. And this is the section which is suitable for all these things, okay? So you can just quickly go over these. So again, you can see like I haven't used a lot of redundant terms here, okay? Like achieved third runner up position in something something among these many participants. Again, this is very important, right? How many participants were there, and among it doesn't make sense to be first in a competition if there were only 10 participants, right? It doesn't make sense if you were first among 5 participants, okay? In the entire competition, just 5 participants were there. But it does make sense if you are first among 5 participants in the final round, okay? I hope you understand the difference. So even if you are getting like the third position in the final round, do mention about the total number of participants who were there. So you can see like 70k participants or 20k participants. Then you can also talk about your scholarships. So the last second point, among 4 Indian undergraduate, you were selected for this scholarship and all. So just quantify your achievement, okay? Among how many students you were able to achieve this. This is very important, okay? You should be able to quantify your achievement properly. So again, you can see that I haven't there were 2 points where I used secured again, but apart from that, I tried as much as possible from my end to avoid any redundant word, so that each of my lines look unique and proper, okay? They are very looking like elegant kind of way. Again, for first and second year students, I understand you don't have like, you might not have much content to add in your resume because you haven't done any, you might not have done any internship or hackathons, and it's also too early. Just try to develop your skill set now, but do mention about your coursework, okay? Whether it's a college course or the online course that you have taken. So you do mention about those. So you can see like how there are two ways of mentioning, and I have added both of them. So one way is to mention them using bars, and also add that you there was a lab component to the course. Other ways, like you can mention about ongoing courses, completed courses, and any open coursework means like any online courses that you have taken. Now again, this section is completely optional for students who are applying for full-time roles and who already have a lot of content for their resume, okay? The reason why I'm mentioning this is your resume, at least till you are like 5 years of experience, your resume should be of one page only, okay? You shouldn't create a resume of larger than that. Now, again, talking about another not so important section, but important if you did hold some important positions there. So, this is the section about leadership roles. Okay. So, I have seen various companies who hire for financial roles, they actually focus on this quality a lot, okay? Especially for consultancy role or financial analyst. So those kind of positions demand a lot of management skills, leadership skills, and the companies do look for these. So what can come in your position of responsibility? So it can be some mentorship opportunities where you were able to be a mentor, you were able to be a team lead, right? In your college society, you were able to manage 50 plus students for an event. Then it might be some project maintainer for an open source event. So all those kind of things come under your position of responsibility. So I won't go into the detail, but again, you can read about how you can mention about your position of responsibility, and do quantify again. So if you are guiding some students, do mention the number of students, like 50 plus students, 10 plus students. Also, if you are mentoring them in some workshop, right, do mention about the number of students, like I mentored 50 students, I mentored 100 students. So this quantification is very important again. Now, coming to the final section of extracurricular activities. So this is like a miscellaneous contribution. So if you don't have a lot of awards right now, like you might have like 2 3 awards and all those things, then there might be some one position of responsibility. So just for one point, you might not want to create this entire section in the resume, because creating this section itself takes a lot of space in the resume. Okay, so in those cases, you can just put a title like extracurricular activities and mention all of them under this topic. And this is one of the way to mention this. Okay, so you can see like technical lead. So there was just one of my mentorship role. So I just mentioned it inside this extracurricular activities instead of creating a separate section. Okay, then I had only one programming achievement, so I just mentioned it like programming and attained this rank and improved overall ranking to something, or attained this much rank in the competition. So there can be multiple ways of writing that. Again, the open source track, so I all had only one open source contribution. So don't worry if you have only one, you can just mention it here, like you contributed to this application. Okay, again, I have seen students also participating in a lot of sports, and they find it difficult to add that in their resume. So this is the section where you can also add your sports involvement, your volunteer work, okay, your NGO work if you have. So all those things come under this section. Now I think I covered a lot of like content here, and I'm like, you guys might find like it very overwhelming at first, but do start making your resume. You will realize that once you start making resume, you won't find it like so much complex, because most of the sections would actually be eliminated. Okay, so in the resume, the space that you have, I don't think you can add more than 6 sections anyway. Okay, so it is never possible to add this all 10 components there. Okay, believe me, like I have tried a lot, but it's not possible at all. So at the end of the day, you have to cut out some of the content. Okay, now so how you will be standing out in the hiring process. Okay, so we talked about what all components can be there in your resume. Now the important thing to note is, once you submit your resume, okay, in the job portal, no one sees your resume manually. Okay, so there is a software, ATS, which is an applicant tracking system, which the recruiters, or I can say nowadays 90% of the companies use this software to shortlist the resumes. Okay, so you have to ensure that your resume is ATS compatible. So what do I mean by ATS compatible is, the resume should have proper keywords. Okay, like if you have worked with Python, you should mention like programming in Python. Okay, something like that. And I have in the past slides also, I have used a lot of keywords, so do check them out. Do check out some of the keywords that you can use for your projects. But again, keywords are very important. Other than that, your technical and interpersonal skills. Okay, so I had just added one example to showcase what all can be hard skill or soft skill. So you can I wanted to be it an interactive session, but since we don't have much time, so I would just say here. So in the first two lines, so leadership, communication, these two are like your soft skills. Then Python is like your technical hard skill. Then teamwork comes under again soft skill. SQL and problem solving, so SQL will be a hard skill, and problem solving can come both in terms of software and soft and hard skill. It will be part of hard skill if you can specify like problem solving in DSA algorithms, in graph problems, all those kind of things. Now, other ATS compatibility problem is your resume should be simple and easy to read. Okay, so you should completely avoid any complex images there. Okay, so believe me, like you don't have to actually go and attach your photo in the resume. Once you are attaching your LinkedIn link over there, the recruiter can go to your LinkedIn profile and they can view your photo. The software doesn't care about how you look. So don't ever attach any complex images, because it will be difficult for the software to load your resume, and because of that it is possible that it will reject your resume. Okay.
Radhika?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for disturbing, but if you can want to make the session interactive, you can. It's not compulsory that we can wrap it in 1 hour, but if you have any other meetings and commitments, then it's okay.
Sure,
No
Manu.
issues from
Thank
our
you so
side.
much. Yeah, thank you so much. So I hope the session will be recorded, and in case any of the students like they want to drop sharply at 8, I don't have any issues. So Manik, I hope the session will be recorded, right?
Yeah, yeah, the recording is going on.
Great, great. Cool. So, sure, I'll keep in mind. So, again, like as I was mentioned, like nobody cares how you look. So, avoid any graphics in your algorithm, in your resume, basically. Okay. Now, what do you mean by standard fonts here? So, in the past resumes I showed, right? So, let me go back. So here, like I have used a very simple font. Okay, no. Calligraphy or anything, right? It's very simple. It's easy to read. So I hope you all are able to read it, right? Like, so even like you are not facing. So I have like shrinked this entire thing very in a very small space, but I don't think you are finding any issue in reading it, right? So you understand that your fonts have to be like very proper. So in all the you can go over all the slides. Okay, you won't see any fancy font attached anywhere. It is completely simple. The only place where I have used italic is the start and the end years. So you can see this October 20, it is actually a little bit italic. Okay. But apart from that, I haven't used any special font anywhere. I have just used bold to draw attention to some of the keywords, but I haven't used any special fonts. So here also, it is completely simple. I used italic at the end to showcase like it's a star has an associated lab component. I used italic here. But apart from that, it was completely simple font. So you understand, right? Like, do any of you find that this resume section that I have written, like it looks blunt, or it doesn't look like proper to you? So do any of you think like that? I hope you don't. But so I just want to mention that font, keeping the font simple is very important, because someone is saying something. Okay, no. So keeping the font simple is very important. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was here. So, yeah, so simple fonts can be, you can use Arial, which is like the default font that you get in Google Docs as well. Yeah, by the way, coming to, I think one of the students did mention about using Google Docs for their resumes. So, actually, you can use Google Docs for your drafting, but for the final resume creation, try shifting to overleaf. Okay, so you can use Google Docs for creating a draft of your resume, for keeping a backup of your resume. So all those things are fine. So whatever you are writing in your overleaf, you want to keep a backup, you can keep it in your Google Doc. But for the final resume, try to shift to overleaf. Okay. Then bullet points, right? So in the past examples that I showed, you can see like there were so many bullet points, right? So if I go back again, so you will never see that I have exceeded one line. Okay, so it's not like the first line that I was writing, so, guiding 10 financially constrained female students from various Indian colleges to enable them equitable access to opportunities in technology. Then I didn't move to the next line, right? It was a complete one line. And then I created another bullet point, and then I mentioned the second line. So, none of my lines overfilled this and went to the other one. You can see this example everywhere. Not here because the courses are there, so you can ignore this. But when I'm talking about a complete line, you can see that none of these exceeded one line and went to the other line. So I tried to intentionally keep the line filled such that it doesn't go and spill over to the next line. Okay, if I want to go to the next line, I'm starting a new bullet point, or some way I'm trying to continue the project in another bullet point. So this is also very important to keep your resume clean. Okay. um, Okay, another thing is using a proper format. Okay, so yeah, I have seen students using PNG format or take using a JPG format. So try to avoid those. Use a proper PDF format, that is like the highly standard one. If not, you can also use the docx format, but try to keep your resumes restricted to these two formattings only. Then again, there are this is just an example. There are various online tools available today to which behaves like ATS. So you can also upload your resumes there and get it checked, whether like how much score it is getting in the ATS checkers. And you can also like try to get it manually reviewed from your peers, from your seniors. Okay, so all those things are also possible, but try to use some online checkers so that you can get a rough idea of what is lacking in your resume. Okay, now another important thing is using a star method. Okay, does like anyone know about star method here? Okay. uh, Okay, I see Vanshika knows. Vijay Lakshmi also knows.
I think some
Nani
knows.
also knows
Some
about
know.
it. Yeah, Lisa also knows. Yeah, so it's great to know that some people are already aware about this method. So just to, but I will focus on what exactly this method means. So a star is like a very common method used in during writing your resume, and this is very popular across all the companies actually. Okay, so what the star actually means is, so you can see the star is an acronym for situation, task, action, and result. Okay, so it tries to cover your entire project basically. Okay, whatever task you are doing in your hackathon, in your open source competition, or anywhere, right? It tries to cover the entire work that you have done in a particular format. So what was the work that you were trying to do, right? What was the challenge that you were trying to solve? Okay, so that comes under the situation. So this was the situation, like you were trying to your entire goal was to do something, okay, such that this problem is solved. Now to achieve that, what all things you did, what all tasks or responsibilities you completed, so that comes under the task that you did. Then the action that you took to complete this, right? Then finally the result, what was the result of the actions that you performed on that particular task? Okay, so basically result is to quantify your achievements. Okay, so I'll give an example, like to understand how you can adopt this star method. So this is a simple example. Honestly, I have taken this example from net only to give a highlight of how you can actually write your project that you have done. So the situation is like I was working as a software developer on a large scale project where the delivery time was slipping. Okay, now delivery timeline was slipping. So what it means is you were getting late. Okay, so suppose the delivery was supposed to be done in one day, but because of some issues you were not able to achieve, like you realize that your delivery will take more than one day, like it might take 5 days and all. So this was the situation you were in. Now, as a software developer, what was your task? You were responsible for improving the efficiency of your code, okay, and reduce the debugging time, okay. So there were two things that you wanted to do. So you wanted to improve the efficiency of your code as well, and you also wanted to reduce the debugging time of why this delivery timeline was sleeping. Okay. Now, what action you took? So you implemented some unit testing, and you also used automated CI/CD. Okay, CI/CD means continuous integration and continuous deployment pipelines. You can read about them in Google, but I'm just taking here as an example. So you automated this pipeline to catch the errors, and as an outcome of this, what was the result that you got? This resulted in reduced time spent on debugging, and this reduced the time by 30% and improved the delivery time by 20%. Okay, so this star thing is in your mind, and you realize that this was the result that you created. Now, how will you write this in your resume? Okay, so how it looks in your resume? So you will mention this is your software developer role, this is the company, and some start and the present till you are working till present, so you mention present here. Now, how will you mention this task in your resume? You will mention like, I reduced the project delivery delays by 20%, or by implementing CI/CD pipelines and automated testing, which also improve code quality and reduce the debugging time by 30%. So you see, you are focusing on the impact that you created, you are focusing on the action that you did. So you implemented the pipeline, you automated the testing, you improved the code quality. So these were the tasks that you performed, these were the actions you took. And what was your task? To ultimately reduce the project delivery, to reduce the debugging time. That was what you were trying to achieve, and this was the situation you were in, right? Because the problem was your delivery time was slipping. So this is how, if you are able to adopt to star method, you will be able to improve on how you are mentioning your task in your resume. You can also take help of chat gpt or other online sources to write this down, but it is very important that you also understand yourself, because all the online tools that are present, they are bound to some errors, right? So you should be able to dictate by yourself whether this sounds correct or not, whether you are able to focus on the impact, focus on the action you took, focus on the tasks, focus on the situation you were in. Okay, so that is how the star method is very important. Some other quick examples of this can be these three examples as well. So again, if you are like developing some features for your company's customer facing app, then you can also mention that you led to a 15% increase in the user retention rates. Okay, so user retention rates just imply that the users liked your app so much that they were able to they used it for a longer period of time. Then implemented a real-time messaging system using this frameworks languages, and then improved your support response time by 40%. Again, led an agile team to enhance the backend architecture, resulting in 25% improvement. So you can see in all the examples that I have shown, I have always mentioned about the percentage of increase, percentage of improvement, percentage of delay reduction, right? So everything I have mentioned in terms of percentage. You can also use other metrics here. For example, latency in terms of milliseconds and all those things, but try to quantify your impact. Okay, that is very important. Even if it's like very small impact, like of 1%, then also do try to mention it in your resume, because it does have an importance. Okay, now it's almost the end of our session, and I would definitely like to highlight on what can be the proper key takeaways from this whatever we discussed. So of course, you have to quantify the results, like I have focused on that so many times in the star method also. Like you should be able to write the numbers to demonstrate your impact, right? In terms of percentage, in terms of time, in terms of uh, any other quantity that you feel comfortable with. But do mention the time that you have, okay, like the numbers that you have. So even in case of machine learning models, you can definitely talk about the accuracy in terms of time or the percentage as well. Now again, you have to focus on the action and the result, and for those, definitely keep the star method in mind. Now use some relevant keywords. So I have given so many examples for each of the sections. There is, again, in the second slide, there is a proper resume given where there are usage of proper keywords. So keep all these, while writing the resume, keep this point in mind to use important keywords to highlight your accomplishments, and try to use the keywords such that they focus on the job description or the hackathon description that you are participating in, okay. And again, so if you are able to achieve these 3 points, then I'm sure that your resume will be both ATS friendly and impact driven as well, if you are following the star method. Now, from my personal experience, I have just added some pro tips here. So these are like based on some of the issues that I have seen over the years. So again, definitely have an active email ID and phone number attached to your resume. Please check twice, okay. I have seen students messing this up because they are so obsessed with the content that they are writing that they mess up their email ID and phone number, and finally the recruiter is not able to understand where how to contact the candidate, right? So it is very important that you are attaching active email IDs, phone numbers, active LinkedIn links, and active GitHub links as well. Now, again, proper formatting is important. Try to keep your resume concise to one page. Again, the third important point is to have peer review. Okay, so I think Girls in Tech like has provided a great platform for you guys to like collaborate among yourselves. So try to like send your resume to your friends over WhatsApp, over a personal DM and all, and try to get it reviewed. Okay, you can review each other's resume, and it will be helpful for both the persons, right? So try to focus on peer review. You can also focus on getting it reviewed from some seniors. Okay. Now, another important thing is avoiding spelling mistakes. Okay, so even after multiple reviews, it can be possible that there are spelling mistakes. So try to use some online spell check tools. Okay, in case uh, you find any issues, you can just fix them out. So this is not like a very bad point, but the problem is the ATS tool, it looks for proper keywords. Okay, so if you make a huge spelling mistake, it is possible that the ATS tool will skip that word, and it will understand that your resume is not suitable for the job description, so it will just like reject it out. Okay, so that is possible. That is why I try to avoid the spelling mistakes. Now again, I talked about quantifiable achievements, right, using the star method. And definitely regularly update your resume. Okay, so even no matter which year you are in, first, second, third, or fourth years, or even if you are in early roles of your career, try to update your resumes. Definitely you can update it more frequently, but I would suggest updating it every 6 months, so that the competitions that you have taken part in, the achievements that you have gathered, is all fresh in your mind, and you are able to properly quantify those as well. Okay. Now, the seventh point here, ensuring a consistent sequence of events. Okay. So what this actually means is, so in whatever, so let me get back to some example here. uh, okay, like in taking example of this one. Okay, so I have written about two of an example positions. So you can see that I have written them in the descending order of time. Like basically I have written the most recent achievement first, so the October and the present one first, and then the November December one, which was of 2019. Okay, so this is what we call the sequence of events in your resume. So when under some title you are mentioning something, try to follow a particular sequence. So in this case, I'm always mentioning the most recent one at the start and the least recent one at the end. Okay, so if I had a third achievement which I wanted to be like, which was of 2018, then I would have added it below this second point. Okay. So this is what I meant by ensuring a consistent sequence of events. So in your entire resume for all the sections, try to ensure that either you are always mentioning the most recent achievement first, or the most or the least recent achievement first. Okay, usually it is preferable to mention your most recent achievement first, so that because it highlights it like catches the eye of the recruiter first, so that is more important. But for the ATS software, it doesn't matter what is the sequence mostly. Okay, then the usage of correct and effective keywords. I have already talked about how you can make your resume ATS friendly. And definitely you have to ensure that 3/4 of each line is complete. So I did mention about how I was writing one of my achievement, or how you should write like one of your hackathon detail in one line. Okay, and then when you are going to the next line, you should start a new bullet point. So you should also ensure that if you are writing a line, at least you are able to cover 3/4 of the line. So a resume where most of the lines are like just half written or less than half written doesn't look good overall. Okay, so it's very important to ensure this as well. Another, so even for like I did mention before also, for your interviews, be thorough with your resume. Okay, whatever you are writing, be sure that you are understanding everything. You have knowledge about all the components that you are mentioning in your resume. Okay, just don't write it for the sake of writing. Be 100% confident, and have the knowledge of whatever you have written there. Okay, now I think I shared a lot of tips here, so I'm looking forward to share more tips in our next meetup. But I think we have already answered some of the questions, but I would like to take the remaining questions here. So, if you have a question, you can also like unmute yourself and ask. That's completely all right.
Wow, what an insightful session, Radhika. That was way knowledgeable. So we do have a lot of, I believe we do have a lot of questions our audience have. So we are opening for the question and answer session. And audience, if you have any question, please write in the chat. We'll take it from that.
Or if you want to unmute or speak, then also that's good to go to make the session
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Try to
interactive.
like unmute yourself. That is completely all right. So, even I'm going over the chat, but it's great like if you can unmute yourself. That will like be a good interactive session as well. So, I did see Vithal's question. Some student resumes start with skills information. Some start with education. What is an excellent way? So, for college students, it's good to start with the education section, and first focus on the projects and then write the skills is what I feel is most important. But if you feel that you have a lot of skills and you want to let the recruiter know about the skills first, then you can mention about those first. So your resume is like your introduction. Okay, when I'm telling you about myself, what all things I want you to first listen. Okay, whether I want you to listen about my skills first, whether I want you to listen about my education first, whether I want you to listen about my experience first. Okay, so it varies from person to person, but the usual format is to first go with the education and then your work experiences that you have, and then you can go about your skills depending on what is most important for you. Then listing your tech stack. So Inano, I see a question regarding listing your tech stack. So guys, like feel free to like unmute yourself and ask. I think that will be easier, because I think some of the questions are quite confusing.
Yeah, that would be great. But
Hello Radhika.
yeah, Alicia,
Yeah.
go on, go on.
Hello Radhika. Hello everyone. So I am a BBA pass out from 2024 batch, and I want to shift into tech. So like I have won a few scholarships. Like after I finished my BBA and I left my job in 2 to 3 months, I got a few scholarships from She Codes, a Woman in Data, and GHCI, like via Aspire for Her. So can I give these things in my resume? Will this help? Also, I want to
Yes,
be in
you
the data
can add
analytics
both
field.
the things in your resume. So you can use actually the awards and achievements section, and you can mention about these. You can also again, like you mentioned, that you were able to achieve these scholarships. So I'm assuming that there might be a lot of participants who would have applied to this, right?
Yes, yes,
So you can again quantify, like I did mention about that, right? Like you were able to attain this scholarship among
yes, yes,
like 10,000 plus candidates or whatever, right? So you can
yes,
quantify that
yes,
and you can mention them in your
yes. Also,
achievement section. Yeah.
sure. Also, I was in the finance. I had BBA in finance, so I have done a project. So can I add those projects and like show them how I like the analytical part and then present in my project section, or I have to make new projects because they don't have any
No.
technical skills, but they will enhance my soft skills in analytical, like show my analytical side. So can I add them?
Yes. So, if you have software projects, then that is best. But if you have some analytic projects and you want to add them to your resume and you have the space to add, you can definitely add one and two projects. And just while you are writing, right, try to focus more on the analytical impact that you created. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Apart from that, like in the resume part, in the off-campus job applying process, there are a lot of people are saying that I have to create resumes according to the yeah, like according to the company and all. So like, what will be a suggestion for someone like me to where should I apply? Because I have a gap. In the gap, I have applied to a lot of scholarships and all these competitions. I've taken part in a hackathon as well. I just got the certificate, like participation certificate only. And so, like, what will be a suggestion for someone like me? How should I
So,
proceed?
are you targeting software engineering roles?
No, I'm targeting data analytics
Okay, data
roles.
analytics roles, right? Okay. So, what do you mean by company specific? So, when you create a resume, right, you can, if you create a resume for a profile, okay, you don't create a resume for a company, first of all. You don't create a different
Yes, yes.
resume for Google, for Microsoft, for Uber. You don't create different resumes for all the companies. You create
And the
resume
thing
for
is
a
that when I
profile.
applied,
So,
so recently I
for
applied for the data analytics apprenticeship in Google. So there I spoke to a few people on LinkedIn and they told me that don't focus on the ATS code, focus on the impact you have created via your
yes,
resume. And
that's
I got
right.
selected for the first round, but the other 3 rounds I didn't got the call. So then they told that like the GOC which happens in Google first, Google Online Challenge, and then they select for the other rounds. So I got selected for that via my resume, but then I they haven't responded after that. So for other companies also I've applied like this ATS score thing. I've got my score, but I didn't got any calls. So how should I proceed with that? That is something I'm asking.
So that is possible, Lisa. That so mostly your resumes are relevant only in the first rounds when there's a shortlisting of resumes that happen. And once the companies move to the online challenges, they don't no more like care a lot about the resumes. Okay, but once like if you have cleared the interviews and all, they do again look at the resumes for any past scholarships with the company or any past experiences with the company. But in your case, I would suggest like don't worry, try to focus a lot on on developing your skills in data analytics. Okay, like you can try platforms like Kaggle and all to enhance your profile again. And I would suggest like,
Yes.
so usually, yeah.
Yep, I guess that answers the question. So, Kanishka, you are the next in the queue. Please ask your question.
Uh, I want to ask that I am currently working on a research paper. So can I add that in my resume?
In what stage the research paper is? Like like have you already submitted it for review to the conference?
I have started now.
You have started writing it or working on the model for the research?
Working on the research paper
Yeah,
now.
so then I suggest not to add that in your resume unless you have other things, because the research paper has a value only when you are able to achieve some result. So, are you able, like, have you already seen the result that is supposed to happen?
Yes, I have seen, but I have not started yet to write any research paper on
Okay, I
that.
see. So you can mention it as a project, right? Okay, then like don't mention it as a research paper, okay? Because you have to write it, then you will submit it for review. Then I have seen conferences returning the papers again with feedback, and then you again have to submit it. So those kind of
Yes.
reiterations happen. So it's best not to mention beforehand that you have completed a research paper and all. Once the research paper is published, it's best to then mention about it, but you can mention your the work that you have done under your project section. Okay, you can mention about the task that you have done and the result that you are able to achieve. And you can also mention like you have worked under this professor or the university that you are collaborating with for the research, but
Okay.
don't mention it as a research paper right now. Okay, in the interviews you can do mention like your future plan is to enhance this task to a research paper, and you will be eventually working on that. Okay, you can mention like this.
And it is important to add the summary of ours in resume, as I have seen lots of the resume which has summary in it. So is it
So
important or it is okay if we don't?
So it depends upon if you have some space left in your resume. But again, I would suggest it's best if you write about the summary in your LinkedIn profile rather. Okay, so there is a about section in the LinkedIn.
Yes.
Mention about your summary there. Try to avoid that in the resume. People do write it. I totally understand. That depends if you have space left. You can mention about your summary, but what I would suggest you is like since you have worked on some research projects,
Yes.
then focus on the research components that you have worked on, and suppose some models and all the things that you learned in the way, and try to make your resume more uh, it should have more like technical skills, right, instead of focusing on the summary, because your resume is ultimately a summary of the work that you have done. But I'm not denying completely, but try to if you have space you can mention one line, but try to focus on other things first. Okay, try to have a priority set.
And it is important to add, like I have done Python course, so it is important to add I have in a basic or intermediate or a professional way to
No,
a
it
particular
So Python is something that is always controversial, because with time, I think every day new packages come of Python, right? If you are saying that you are an advanced Python coder and all, then everybody will expect you to know about all the latest packages, latest versions
no,
and
no,
all.
I'm not particularly asking about the Python, I'm asking about
Okay.
the all.
So in general also, so I think there was a slide where I did mention about how you can write your skill
Yes.
set. So it's best to just mention about languages and just write about languages in there. So yeah, this one, right? Other thing is like you can mention about proficient if you have used it in a project. Okay, so if you have used Python or any other languages in a project, you can mention it as proficient. Otherwise, if you have just seen it from above or coded one or two lines, just make it familiar. Okay, you don't have to necessarily write begin, intermediate, and advanced, all those kind of things.
Okay, thank you.
You can write it proficient if you have worked in a project, and when you are asked some question about it, you can definitely mention that you for example, for Python you worked on these particular data structures for your project. You explored this feature of Python. You explored some concurrency in Python. All those things you can definitely highlight in the interviews.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, if you are mentioning something, I would suggest that no matter in which level you are mentioning, do be proficient in that. Okay, like read about Python before going to the interview. Like no one will care about the syntax. Okay, no one cares if you know the correct syntax or not. They only care about the data structures in Python, about uh, the various techniques in Python, like concurrency handling or async jobs, all those things, or multi-threading, all those points are important in Python. No one cares about whether you are able to syntactically make it correct or not. Okay. So
Okay.
before appearing for the interview, no matter what level you are mentioning, you can go over your basics and go to the interview. And again, so the problem with mentioning the basic, advanced, intermediate thing is there is no level defined. Okay, no one knows what do you mean by intermediate, right? Whether
Yes.
intermediate means you are able to code, you know some of the components. So there is no proper bar defined as to what intermediate means, as to what basic means. Okay, so that is why I suggest to go with the first division, where you just mention about the languages, frameworks, and libraries. But if you want, you can again mention about proficiency and familiarity as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions that we will be taking only three questions from Siddhi, then in the queue Rishi, then in the queue Aditi, because we have exceeded 1.3 hours, 1.5 hours. But before that, everyone, as a ritual, you can switch on your camera so that we can have a group picture. Then we can proceed with the questions. So yes, anyone who want to join us in the frame and have a picture with our amazing speaker, Radhika, this is your time.
So
Okay, so yes, amazing. You have still time. And yeah, welcome to the frame, everyone. And Rishi, can you please lower down your hand? And Aditi also, I remember the queue, so no need to worry.
you guys can actually make some sign and all. It looks like we are forcefully keeping you in the session. So you can make a W, or whatever sign you are comfortable with. So you can make a W or something.
Okay, nice. So thank you so much for coming in the frame. And yes, Siddhi, you can ask your question. You are in the queue next.
Actually, I just wanted to ask that I have recently taken participation in the Flipkart Grid challenge, but wasn't get selected for the next round, and was done with many more hackathons and project presentation competition as well. So should I mention them in my resume? If
So for the Flipkart one, you were able to you went to the presentation round.
no, actually not. We
So
can't
in
leave.
the Flipkart one, you were able to complete. You competed in the online round, but you weren't able to proceed further. But you did part in other hackathons for
Yes.
presentations. So what I would suggest is you can mention that achievement in your achievement section, but just try to give 3 4 words like you participated, you were selected for the online coding round among these many participants for Flipkart Grade 2, whatever 5.0 or something. And for the hackathons, then you can separately again in mention in the achievement section only, but don't put if you are not presenting something. Okay, if you not have worked on a proper problem statement, don't mention about those in the project section. Okay, because when you are mentioning the project, you have to keep proper like 2 3 lines. Okay, and if I have seen, if you have seen the examples that I gave, like you have to fill in a lot of details in those lines. Okay, so if you haven't worked on the problem statement, don't mention about that, but you can mention them in the achievement section. That is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, amazing. Rishi, you can ask your question.
So my question is currently I am in third year. I have couple of work experience, 8 to 9 work experience, including GSOC, LFX. I'm currently mentored in CNFCF. So how many work experience I add in my resume?
So do you have content for other sections?
Yes, I have all the strengths, including projects and some of my achievements, and I attend for conferences abroad.
You can prioritize, again you can prioritize among all the things that you have, but don't add like more than three work experiences. Like select the best ones and mention those three work experiences. Again, if you have worked on a project, you can again write a key project section and mention the projects there. For work experiences, I think GSOC will go to the work experiences because it's like a huge 3 4 months task. Again, LFX I think also is like it's for a huge tenure, right? So you can mention both of them in the work experiences, but yeah, don't exceed like three work experiences. Like write the three best of your work experiences there. But if you have like space, you can go for four, but three is like the maximum. And try to like cover at least 3 points for each of the work experiences. So it's like three work experiences in for each of the three you are mentioning, again three bullet points, so it will cover like a lot of part of your resume already.
My resume is of 2 pages. It will be any issue if I apply to any other company with 2 pages of resume.
It won't be an issue, Rishi, like, but it will be like too much content. So uh, it's so since you are like you have some year of experiences, right? Like, can you so your voice was breaking a little, so can you again repeat like how many years of experience you have?
Currently, it's 2 years. I'm currently a mentor in CNFCF and also working in University of California on one of their projects. I have got like 8 top experience. Like I was a program manager in Girl Script, Summer of Code, or everything. I got 8 so I'm not knowing what to add and what not to because
You
every
have
work
to prioritize, yeah, so you can add all of them in your LinkedIn. Okay, that is completely fine. So if anybody is interested, they can from your resume they can go to your LinkedIn profile and they can filter the things out. But among those important things, you should actually prioritize some of the most important things. Okay, because with 2 years of work experiences, it not doesn't look good to have like 2 pages of resume. Usually like when you go to like 5 6 years of experience, you go actually for a 2 page resume. But yeah, you have to like prioritize. Like there's nothing much you can do. You can add all of them to your LinkedIn profile, like that is fine. But among those which you think is the most important one and the most impactful ones, you have to pick those up, and you should actually reduce the size of your resume. But if you have like 2 pages resume now and you want like to apply urgently, you can definitely go for it. That's not like a huge problem. So 1 page is like a uh, recommended size of the resume, but there is nothing wrong in exceeding as well if you have a lot of content to mention. So I think we are already out of time. So Manik, are there more questions we're taking up?
I guess Aditi has a question, then it's good to go. Aditi?
Great. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Radhika. I just wanted to ask that the research internship thing that you mentioned in work experience in fields like AI or ML. So I wanted, I want to do some of them and want in my resume. But can you suggest some, like you said, international universities from which are like
Uh,
good to have in my resume?
yeah, you can definitely check out. I don't exactly remember the names now. You can let Manik know. I'll try to share something offline, and so you can definitely Google out. I think you can find there a lot of online applications available already. I actually don't remember the names now, but I do remember. So they have a particular timing of openings and all.
Okay.
Let me try to see. So let me try like in the couple of 5 10 minutes if I'm able to find something.
Okay, I guess that's it. So first of all, before concluding the session, Simran will conclude the session. I would like to congratulate Kanishka because
Yes, yes.
we do have the most active volunteers thing that we run in our online sessions, and throughout the session you have your camera switched on and you have asked the questions, and that's great. So we would like to thank you on our socials from Girls in Tech. So are you in the WhatsApp group of Girls in Tech?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can just DM me along your Insta ID, your LinkedIn profile, and your picture so that we can make the posters. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Simran.
Yes, thank you, Radhika, for such an insightful session, and your invaluable advice was very good. And a huge thank to our audience for such an engaging and interactive session. And happy Valentine's Week, and may your resume find their perfect match. Thank you.
Sure. So, I have also shared some of the links that I was able to find online, but definitely you can check with you can let Manik know your set of questions, and I can definitely help you offline with that. I do see a lot of questions regarding off-campus applications and all those things. I hope we have next session together, like. In a couple of months itself, you can definitely let Manik know if you want me to cover any sessions like these. Yeah, thank you, Girls in Tech, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session today.
And yes,
Thank
I
you.
would like to personally thank Radhika because she's been in touch with me for a quite of time and she wanted to do something for Girls in Tech, and now we have finally here with us, and I really loved the session. You covered it really well, Radhika. You showed all the basic things and covered it till the advanced, because I personally have seen a lot of stuff on YouTube and covered a lot of sessions regarding resume. But this session is in way more detail and explain the things in the easiest way possible. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Manik. Thank you so much, Simran. And yeah, thanks a lot, Girls in Tech. Yeah.
Okay, bye, Radhika.